Hello world, my name is Layouter and I'm from Myanmar. My EDX username and GitHub username are as follow. Today's recording date is November 20, 2025. Now without further ado, let's dive in. The incident I'm discussing occurred in May and June of 2024 involving the massive Snowflake customer data theft campaign. Unfortunately, there is no single CVE for this incident because it was not a vulnerability in Snowflake's platform, but rather a large-scale credential theft campaign using a malware. I chose this topic because it connects directly to concepts from CS50 Introduction to Cybersecurity lecture, especially about malware, authentication, MFA, the shared responsibility model, and cloud security. And it's one of the most significant real-world breaches caused not by hacking infrastructure, but by hacking identities. Now, when it comes to big data, a company's name can be everything. And back in 2024, one particular name was at the center of a massive cybercrime wave. A heist so big it sent shockwave through the entire tech industry. The company was Snowflake, and the question on everyone's mind was simple. Was Snowflake hacked? Snowflake, one of the biggest cloud data platforms in the world, suddenly looked vulnerable, and as the news broke, the victim list started growing at a terrifying rate, like AT&T, Ticketmaster, Santander Bank, and more than 165 other organizations. Every one of these breaches traced back to Snowflake customer accounts. Their financial damages were huge, reputational damages were even worse. In CS50, we learned that real breaches often don't come from breaking a system encryption or exploiting a zero day. They come from weak identity management, and that is exactly what happened here. To understand the scope of the attack, the investigators had to figure out the attacker's playbook, and what they found was actually surprising. This wasn't just some digital brute force attack. There weren't any vulnerabilities in Snowflake's code. It was something far more subtle, and it started years before anyone even realized it. The attacker's main weapon was a malware called Info Stealer malware. This wasn't about hacking a server, this was about hacking people. This info stealer silently infect employees' computer, often through sketchy downloads, and quietly collect every saved usernames and password they could find. This directly relates to CS50 malware units. Info stealers fall under a credential harvesting malware, a threat category we specifically discussed. Between 2020 and 2023, this malware collected a massive trove of stolen logins. Then, in 2024, attackers sift through those credentials, found Snowflake logins, and simply walked right to the front door. Their playbook was brutally simple. They steal credentials, they look for accounts without multi-factor authentication, which is MFA for short, login, they download everything they could find and install the victims. This simplicity is exactly my work. CS50 emphasized why MFA is crucial. Passwords alone are a single point of failure, and this real incident proved that lesson perfectly. Now, after understanding the how, the main question still remains. Was Snowflake itself breached? According to the official investigation from Median, CrowdStrike, and Snowflake itself, the, the answer is simple. No, Snowflake's platform was never hacked. The problem wasn't the log. The problem was the keys. Now, think of it this way. Snowflake built a secure vault. Attackers didn't even try to break the vault door. They just went to employees' home, store their keys, and just walk inside. This reveals one of the most fundamental concepts of cloud security, which is the shared responsibility model. Snowflake secures the platform. Likewise, customers like us must also secure our sites, especially identity and access. We studied this model in CS50 lectures. It defines exactly who is responsible for what in cloud environments, and this incident demonstrates what happened when customers fill their pod. In total, 165 organizations were breached, not because Snowflake was hacked, but because employees' credentials were stolen and MFA multi-factor authentication wasn't enforced. This incident is a critical wake-up call for anyone using cloud services. Your data is only as secure as your credentials. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. This breach highlights the core fundamentals of cybersecurity, the same fundamentals emphasized in CS50. Identity hygiene, strong unique passwords, and mandatory MFA. Least privilege and continuous monitoring. These are just some suggestions, they are absolute necessities for our data to be secure. So, what does a solid defense look like? Here's the exact checklist taken from the investigation and, of course, aligned with CS50 principles. Enforce MFA everyone. 2. Use single sign-on SSO for centralized identity control. 3. Rotate credentials regularly, which is to update your password regularly, and audit access and remove unnecessary permissions, which is the principle of least privilege, and actively monitor accounts for suspicious activity. Following these steps would have prevented almost every breach in this campaign. At the end of the day, the cloud itself is really the weak point. The real question is, our data is safe in the cloud, but who is guarding our keys? And that is the true lesson of this 2024 Snowflake data theft and why it matters for cybersecurity. My name is Lao Yao for short, and this was 2024 Snowflake data theft.